Hi, I'm Spencer,
And I'm Blake.
and you're about to get jumped.
Welcome to episode 270 of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, a weekly podcast where we watch the anime so you don't have to.
But you should still totally watch the anime.
This week on Get Jumped, we're watching Fire Force episodes 25 through 28, plus some amount of an anime called Lucky Star, where the girls are either encouraging you to go berserk or they are debating only the most banal, inconsequential nonsense you could imagine.
If you ever thought to yourself, hey, you know what I would like to watch? A really bad Garfield comic, except for the Garfield characters are just little girls. Well, have I got a show for you? Anyways, let's jump in.
What's up? You got any news? What's going on?
Not much. I watched the new Avatar movie.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was fun.
How was it?
It's fun in a way that almost annoys you. Mostly
Okay.
because there's a really fun way that it could have been a show. And it annoys me that instead it's a very predictable movie.
Okay.
And because of that, I got very frustrated when I saw a character come on screen and I was like, oh, it's the secret villain. And then it was the secret villain. And I was like, you son of a bitch.
Okay, so so I'm extrapolating from this that you felt that the idea felt like it should be, or at least felt like it was good enough to be a series instead of a movie, and
Yeah.
that the execution of the movie was a little paint by numbers.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it just kind of makes you a little bit frustrated that there's a lot more lore and stuff that it could have done, but instead it just kind of like copped out with like the most kind of paint by numbers story, and I got a little bit bummed out about that, but I am also just kind of sort of tacitly okay with all animated Avatar The Last Airbender things. So I mean, like, I am also okay with Korra if it's not perfect. I am also okay with this movie. It's not perfect. Nothing could be the original series, and the
Yeah.
original series is almost perfect. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's just like, it's more of the thing that I love, so I don't hate it, but at the same time, it's weird. And I
Yeah.
also find it very strange the way that Paramount Plus decided to put it out. They put it out, but they're not allowing it to be on DVD or Blu-ray or bought anywhere. So the only place you can get it is like shoehorned in to this one streaming service that you must have in order to watch it. And if you don't have that, you can't watch it anywhere except for like, God, it's like 4 cities in the United States got the theatrical release, and it's kind of like them like slapping and making everybody feel bad for the fact that like some people hijacked the movie and watched it. So Paramount was just like, no, you have to play by our rules, or you don't get to play. And I was just like, ugh, you dicks. 'Cause
Yeah.
I would have much rather seen this in movie theaters, you know?
It's a little strange that it's not in theaters, and I know that there was the whole debacle of it getting leaked, and that may have played into that decision-making process somewhat, but I don't really know the full story there. But
Yeah.
it's definitely weird. I mean, it's not like that crazy in the grand scheme of things in our current modern dystopia of like, yeah, you have to have one of some semi-random assortment of like 18 different streaming services that each want to lay exclusive claim to this or that. And
Yeah.
so it's like, it's not the craziest thing these days for like a long belated movie follow-up to a beloved series to go straight to, I mean, it used to be straight to video, and I think straight to streaming is sometimes better than straight to video generally ever was, but
Yeah.
it's weird. I mean, yeah, it feels like Avatar is well liked enough in the culture that it would have done pretty well in the theaters, so it's a little odd that it wasn't there. And I just got tricked into having Paramount Plus because it's the only place you can watch Drag Race. So, and I was like,
So-
oh well, I can either
So you've
buy.
already gone you've already gone on this journey with something else.
Yeah, I'm annoyed by it, and I'm still not fully convinced that I'm going to keep it, but I also haven't watched all the Drag Race I want to watch, and they do keep making more. But yeah, it was like I was sitting there. I bought the most recent regular season of Drag Race, which was season 18. I bought that on Amazon for like $15, $20. But then there's also the like side show of RuPaul's Drag Race Untucked, which was another like $10 or $15. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
this is the 18th season, and that does not include All Stars, which I think they just did the eighth one of. And there's an Untucked for each one except season one. So I was like, okay, I can keep spending like $35 or $40 a season to get caught up and not necessarily buy all of them, but I'm also like, I'm definitely a completionist, so that would be a hard struggle for me. Or I can spend X amount of dollars a month more to get it on streaming and also all the other stuff that's available on the streaming, which is how they all get you. I know that I fell for it just like they wanted you to. And I'm still not happy about it, despite the fact that we're like 2 months in. But that is what happened to me.
Yeah. You're going to take your medicine. You're going to swallow. You're going to swallow your medicine like a good dog.
Yeah.
Because this is a very normal, very normal spoonful of peanut butter.
Yeah, aren't
Do
you
not
enjoying the
look inside.
convenience? Isn't this wonderful and convenient? Aren't you so happy with how convenient everything is?
Yeah. Speaking of something that is terrible, hey, let's talk about our screen time for the week.
All right.
We watched Lucky Star.
Boy, did we.
I horked down 2 episodes without almost throwing up. But man, oh man, is this show terrible?
Yeah. So here's Lucky Star. So this was added because long ago, one of our Discord members showed a picture of a scratch card that he had obtained. I do not believe he created it, but it was a scratch card titled Best 100 Anime of All Time. I started to talk to you about this, Spencer, before we began recording, and said I would save it for the episode because I believe that this Best 100 Anime was attempting to create touch points across different genres of anime rather than literally going, these are the best. If you can only watch 100 in your life at the time of printing this sheet, these are the ones you must watch. Like, I don't think it was that. I think it was actually, here are the best things in their genre. So, Lucky Star started as a 4-panel comic strip manga, which is why Spencer referenced Garfield in the beginning. So pretty different. This began in December of 2003. It is our favorite thing, a slice of life manga focusing on the daily lives of 4 girls with little overarching plot. It has an audio drama CD from August 05. It has spawned, and this has floored me, 4 video games released between 2005 and 2009. So maybe one of those was a mobile game, but not our current era when you're like, sure, there could be a video game for anything. If you count mobile games, it's before that, so that's crazy. This anime adaptation is a 24 episode anime of a 4-panel comic strip. These are normal sized episodes. There's 24 of them. They were made by Kyoto Animation, airing between April 8th and September 16th of 2007. So it's a bit of an older piece, almost 10 years old. There was an OVA that came out in September of 2008. There was a spin-off manga that began in January of 2008, and there's an anime adaptation of that began in April of 2013. So there's a lot going on here, but the high line is that this is the slice-of-lifeiest slice of life that has ever sliced.
Yeah, so here's the issue with it in both Blake and I's eyes. Blake and eyes. What a weird way to say that.
Blake and I's eyes.
But anyways,
Blake and I's
in my eyes. Anyways, it's one of those things like when you start saying it over and over again, it loses its meaning. So
Say
you
it
just keep
some
on saying
more.
it over and over again. Yeah, no. Anyways, here's the problem with this show. Is it the opening? No. The opening is kind of weird and cute. Is it the animation style? No, it is not. Is it the dialogue of the show? Kind of not. The way that the voice actors portray it in both the English version and the Japanese version of it are good voice actors. Here's the problem with it. It is so bland. It's just incredibly hard to watch.
Yeah.
It's just like watching, as we have joked about before, an actual slice of life, except for these people's lives are just like milquetoast. Like, they're living their lives in like the days where nothing important happens. And because of that, it is very difficult to watch. It reminded me of kind of like an avant-garde arts film that you would watch in college to make you like feel artsy, and like
Yeah.
you would see this inside of like a studio that makes you feel cool. So
Yeah.
it's like it's one of those things where it's just like, this has a place for somebody. This has an audience for somebody. This has a interesting enough like build together of like things that are actually good, but at the same time so off the mark for, I know myself, and I'm assuming Blake as well, that it becomes like watching paint dry. And I just really struggled to give it the 30 minutes of time that it requested of me for each episode.
Yeah.
And because of that, I would never recommend the show to somebody unless somebody came to me and they were just like, hey, I want to watch how real life might feel if we were weird girls in Japan. I'm just be like, okay, well, this is the show for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty similar with you, including the hedging of bets that you're doing, because I would agree the production is not high, but why would it be? They're not being asked to do anything but characters talking to each other in a room, you
Yeah.
know, and for what that is, it's perfectly charming. I mean, the character designs are cute. The animation is sort of chibi or chibi adjacent, and I think in some part that's because these are supposed to be pretty young girls. I would say that they would probably be like high elementary school, low middle school age. These are not high schoolers, I don't think. Obviously, I know the grades are not the same in Japan, but these are younger kids. I would think. This is clearly supposed to be like really inoffensive ruminations on just stuff that could happen to anybody. And
Yeah.
like it opens with just these characters with like no introduction, just talking in a classroom and debating the way that they eat a specific type of food. And it's definitely a Japanese food, sort of kind of resembles an ice cream cone. So, you know, with my American brain, I was like, okay, this is kind of an ice cream cone. It's a pastry or something. There's a filling of some kind. It is oblong, but it's larger at one end than the other, like a cone would be. And they're talking about, you know, which end do you eat first? Which way are you supposed to eat it? And there's three girls.
Yeah.
And they just sort of like
It's
quietly
almost
and
a
politely,
commercial for Oreos.
it is, yeah. It's almost a commercial, but commercials have more get up and go because they're trying to sell you something. It is, it's almost small talk. It's almost a show made up entirely of small talk. And it's like these characters are friends, but they might as well not be. I mean, you know, what they're talking about doesn't matter. And it doesn't, I mean, it's not that there's not character to this. I mean, you could build a character and or display a character by how they approach eating a certain food. That's totally valuable in certain contexts, but there's no tension to it, you know? And so I actually didn't even finish watching the first episode. I was so miserable, and I was like, there's not going to be a change to this. I can tell what this is. It's not going to
I
get
watched
better.
2 whole episodes of it.
I can't imagine it. And this is one of the bet hedging that I want to say, because it is, like I said in the intro, it is so banal. I actually think that small talk is a really apt comparison, because it is chatter that fills the space. It doesn't really have content. You're not really trying to get to anything. And even though technically you could argue that you have a better understanding of these three girls at the end by understanding the way that they eat this random pastry, like, who gives a shit, you know? I don't.
Yeah.
It's maybe a point of interest if somebody eats their non-stuffed crust pizza, crust first, but it doesn't really tell you anything meaningful about them, and it doesn't move anything more significant or interesting along. And so I kind of sat
Yeah.
there and watched this and was like, my reaction was like, I it's cute, and for what it is, it's perfectly fine, well done. It is the most slice of life slice because there is no heightening to it. It's not made funny. There are lines that I suspected were supposed to cause you to smile or perhaps chuckle, but there's no jokes. There's no gags. There's no drama. It's just kind of them talking about a thing for 5 minutes and then moving on to talk about the next thing for the next five
Yeah.
minutes until the credits roll. And I sat there and I was like, I can't imagine who this is for. And it's clearly for people because it's done quite well for itself. But I don't know
Yeah.
who those people are, and I'm not going to recommend this to anybody, while also saying that it is, in certain ways, technically not bad.
Yeah. I'm going to say that the audience for this is probably people that just want something that is complete fluff. They probably want something that just has cute people discussing things in a way that is not extreme. And so they want it to be low stakes. They want it to be like I don't know. The closest reference I could think of this would be something like Seinfeld, except for like remove that extreme comedy moments that they had inside of Seinfeld, where
Yeah.
it's a show about nothing. It's a show about just life.
I'm actually
And so a lot
thinking
of people,
Muppet Babies, but without any tension or conflict. Like
yeah.
it's
So like
almost
people,
it's almost a show for young children, and it's not.
yeah,
It's literally not. Although I think you could watch it with a young kid, and if they were perfectly happy to watch sort of cartoon characters barely move, I think they would be perfectly happy to sit there and sort of
yeah.
stare at it with their baby face. But like I don't know. It's inoffensive to the point of nearly being offensive, where you're just like, why?
Yeah, Blake has some opinions on it. I think it's inoffensive to the point where like you could watch it if you're one of those people that just wants something that has it's just light. It's
Yeah.
just popcorn. It's just you're chewing on it and not thinking about anything.
You
So I
worked
think
so
that's the kind
hard
of show it is for me.
as a person, as an artist, as somebody who wants to create, and then you watch this show and you're just like, well, all right.
Anyways, hey Blake, we got to talk about this show that we watched this week. So I am putting a minute on the clock. 1 minute timer. And here we go.
Sometimes people spontaneously combust, and there's other people who use fire to fight those spontaneously combusted individuals until dead. They are the Fire Force. Shinra's the best one.
Is that
Why? What else do
Is
you need
that
to
it?
know? What else do you need to know?
you have 30 more seconds and you're doing this?
It's the start of season 2. Stuff happened, but now life returns to normal theoretically.
Oh my god, there's still 20 seconds. How are you so bad at this today?
I just my will has been depleted by that fucking anime. I just don't understand who. It's just nothing. There's just nothing
And
to
time. All right, we're going to start with Fire Force, episode 25, A Fire Soldier's Fight. This episode is going to be, how can I say this? It is a recap episode that is not a recap episode. So this episode, the first half of it, is just to show you like who the characters are, why they are fighting, who they are fighting, what their powers are. Do you remember them? Because now this is season 2 of Fire Force, and that's
Yeah.
basically how the first half ends.
Yeah.
There's like a small thread that takes you from the first half of the episode where they fight against a giant infernal that has like 5 cores inside of it, which is kind of cool. So they get to fight against like a kaiju version of the infernals.
Yeah.
But it takes you from the first half to the second half of the episode, and that thread is as follows. one of our members of Company 8 is very bad at putting on clothing because he just assumes whoever gives him things is given the clothes to him for a reason, and he never reads what he puts on before he puts it on, and so they're going to buy funny things for him to wear. We have also an opening that happens in the middle of the episode. The opening is new, and it's cool, and it does that thing where I've been listening to a lot of anime openings recently.
Uh-huh.
And I've been thinking to myself, like, some of these slap. Like, some of these I'm genuinely excited about. Some of them are garbage. Some of them I listen to and I'm just like, who is this for? Like, I don't understand it. I don't think the music sounds good to me. And it's mostly the ones that fall along the side of something that I am not into at all, but other people are really into, which is like screamcore and stuff like that. And it's just not for me. Like, I get people like it. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't want somebody just yelling Japanese words at me. It's not gonna be my jam. But this one was one of those where, like, I heard it and I was just like, it's not my favorite. It's not bad. But it sounds like if somebody made an anime opening that was AI generated off of other anime openings that it had heard, that would be this song for me. And so that's where I kind of landed with it.
Yeah.
And I missed the old one.
I definitely agree. I'm a big proponent. I like anime openings because I think they're a nice little, 90 seconds of hype. And I like that sort of upbeat rock that they usually stick with. And, cool action sequences and really high animation quality. And this has that. But yeah, the song is definitely a little generic. Like, I cannot summon it to my brain after we've watched 4 episodes of it. And, maybe it'll stick in there later, because I've definitely had some anime openings where I was like, sure, that's an opening. And then later on, I come to really like it. But then there's those openings where you're like, this is an all-timer. I'm going to love this forever. And then, they change it and you're like deeply sad that you can't have your new episodes with your good opening.
Hey, Blake, can I ask you a quick question?
Ask me.
What's something that you hated in the first season of Fire Force?
I hate the fan service so much, and it is present today. It's present with us in the room right now. And good Lord. I was thinking about this as we were going into this episode. Partly, I was like 78% ready to lovingly bitch at Lucky Star's existence until I could get out all of my negative feelings about it, because it just baffles me so much. But the remainder was thinking how much I like the premise of Fire Force, and how much I like certain concepts, and how much the execution often leaves me cold. And some of that is that they just won't fucking drop it with the weirdness. And there's one character in particular, I've gone on a screed. It happens again in one of these episodes, not the one we're talking about right now. And it is such a turnoff that I want to genuinely stop watching the show completely every time it happens. And I probably would have if I weren't watching it for this podcast, because it is so offensive to me. But there's also weird pedophile lady.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
That's a small part of these episodes. The other part of these episodes that happens is boys.
Yeah. This is fine. This would have been cute if it were done differently.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so it was just faffing about. And it's one of those things that manga does a lot. If you read a lot of manga, especially after a big thing happens, there's a lot of table setting where we kind of figure out what our mostly return to status quo is. And then the characters kind of hang out and they do something inconsequential, like shop for clothes and pose for a nude calendar, an all boys nude calendar, which is so interesting. And like,
my favorite one was like, we've got this one captain. He actually did really well last year, and they were like, did he know this photo was taken? And then it like cut to them like sneaking up on him, and he's like, the photo must be taken, and he's just like, you son of a bitch, you caught me last year. You think I wouldn't know that you're trying to catch me this year? And he's like, we need it for the calendar.
Yeah.
They need it.
I really liked the quick shot of the Plague Mask character, who is at this point was one of the major villainous forces behind the climax of season 1, and has been shown to be an unrepentant bastard man. And they're talking, like every fire company does this calendar, and Shinra's like, even unrepentant bastard man, and they're like, oh yeah, look how hot he is, and they just like show a picture of him, and he's got his plague mask and just like a super cut body, and it's kind of funny. Like, this is what's so frustrating. I'm probably feel free to call me a hypocrite for this. I don't think I'm being one. This is played for laughs, and it's not particularly sexualizing, with the exception of our pervy pedo lady. But like, the calendar thing is kind of a joke, and it's also a reference to a real life thing that happens with fireman calendars. This is a true thing that you can do in your own personal life. So I don't know. I found it like inoffensive, but also I found it sort of like inessential. And I think this is part of the problem. Part of what I don't like about slice of life anime. I also don't tend to like slice of life episodes because they don't really advance the characters in any meaningful way. There's nothing new or deepened about the connection these characters have with each other here. It's just a thing that happens for a few minutes while other stuff is going to happen in the future, and it's just not happening now because this is happening instead, and I just really don't like that shit.
My actual favorite joke from this, though, is when he's just like, it's the pose. You go and you show off the gun, and then you turn the hand, and it's a cobra.
Yeah, that was good. He's just like an idiot, and I enjoyed that. Yeah, this is like, again, it's almost like Lucky Star. There's a lot more comedy, or attempts at comedy, and tension and energy in this sequence, but it's the same kind of thing where like it doesn't matter, and if you stopped watching the episode after they beat the big fire guy and picked up with the episode after this, you would have lost nothing, because the last 10-15 minutes of this is meaningless.
That takes us into episode 26, Flames of Madness. This episode is going to be about Shinra going to figure out from company number 4, who is the training company, what he might know about this. And the reason he is going is because he was specially requested by the granddaughter of the Lieutenant Asako to come over there and see what's going on. Mm-hmm. He is going to explain to the old man that runs 4 that he has awakened an Adola burst, and the old man is going to do some creepy old man things. He's going to really, really want to be burned by the Adola burst in a really uncomfortable, aggressive way. And it turns out that he also, like the captain of company number 8, he doesn't have any additional powers. He's just really jacked and very good at fighting with things, which turns out to be like these like metal ropes and things that he throws around inside of an area. And he is going to want to be burned by the Adola burst so he can have another like existential, amazing religious moment with it. He was old enough to be during one of like the most terrible fires that's ever happened inside of Tokyo, and he was like, okay, so when I was there, I got a glimpse of the Great Fire, and because of that, I have lived my whole life wanting to see the Adola fire again. And so you get this weird like explanation of it, but man, the execution makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is I'm just really struggling with this show because every time we watch it, it's like there's interesting stuff happening, the plot is intriguing, and there's just all these little quirks that just pull me out of it and make me fall out of love with it. And it's like maybe this would have felt slightly better if it weren't hot on the heels of the adult woman lusting after a literal child at the end of the previous episode for laughs, because obviously that's hilarious. But like, it just keeps happening with this show, and they didn't do this a lot in Soul Eater, and I know that the Soul Eater anime is famously different from the manga. They did the thing the original Full Metal Alchemist did, where they made it a third or a half of the way, and then they met up with the manga, and instead of waiting, they just finished the story the way they decided to, regardless of what was going to happen in the manga. And many manga fans do not like the Soul Eater anime because of that. In the same way that a lot of Full Metal Alchemist fans didn't like the Full Metal Alchemist anime, for the same reason, then Brotherhood happened and it's the faithful adaptation. They were very happy. There's just not one of those for Soul Eater. All of that to say, I read a few volumes of the Soul Eater manga, and it is much more sexual. There's a lot more fan service in the drawn,
especially with the witches.
Yeah. And it's those kinds of things where it's like something unrelated is happening, and then there's just like an upskirt, and you're like, just the way they frame it is just to add sex into a scene that doesn't have it or require it, and that's just so off-putting, especially when it's like underage characters. Whatever, I don't care, but like it keeps happening in universe here, and it seems to be. It's like these characters are operating off of cartoon logic, which I already don't love, because I want real people and I want their problems to feel real and to feel like they have weight to them. And they don't, because they keep snapping into these cartoon versions of themselves. And this Commander Asako is maybe the worst version of this, because he is the old, wizened, grizzled veteran, and he has that sort of deeper affect, and he is talking very seriously about the very serious problems that these people are facing. And then he will snap into this sort of like manic, maniacal way of being, but maybe this is influenced by the other characters around him in the show and the other moments around him in the show. It feels sexual, and it's so uncomfortable. And it's like, this could be such an interesting scene of our main character reaching out to someone older and more experienced who is a wise mentor, offering him guidance. And instead there's just this like creepy push-pull to it. And it's really, really off-putting. And it takes the fucking air out of the story. It's like you couldn't figure out what to do with this scene that wasn't just having this character tell us what we need to know. So you gave them what appears to be a kink that they can't control, and they have no social graces, and they just act like a fucking lunatic for 80% of the screen time until you finally knock it off and get to the point. It's so frustrating, because there's so much good here, and they just keep not doing that.
Yeah. And the thing that's also frustrating about this is when we get to step away from this, and you get to step away into the moment where you have Arthur and one of his old friends show up to try to keep Shinra in line, because Shinra, while he's there, begins to lose it. And we originally don't know why this is happening. He's talking about attacking people. He's talking about burning people down. He's talking about not being able to live up to the thing that he has to do in order to save his mom without killing people. So he's like, fuck it. I'm going to kill everybody. I'm going to burn the world down. Which sounds very strange for Shinra and very out of character, until we learn that he is getting mind infiltrated by somebody called the First Pillar. And this character is making him basically lose his mind and go into like a berserker rage.
Yeah,
where
she's egging him on.
And he is being pushed to the point where he is going to be attacking people that are ostensibly his friends. Like, I know he has a love-hate relationship with Arthur, but like, he is going to be attacking him to try to kill him, and he is going to be attacking them in order to hurt them very badly.
Yeah.
And because of that, he gets to a point at the end where Arthur is just like, you're pushing it too far. And he's like, if you're going to fight, and you're going to fight up against me and these other characters, and he has this moment where he like sees all the different characters as like one of them has the ability to make you like stronger and more fire resistant, and he's like, he's the bard, and this is my mage, and this is my person, another person, and the old man, he's like, this is my shield of masochism, and then like it cuts to him and he's like, and I'm the brave knight Sir Arthur. And he gets into that headspace where he gets really deep into it. There's also a cool flashback moment where he like remembers his father like giving him this ability, which is to like go into your imagination and see the world around you as you want it to be, and it will give you the strength to move forward even if life is hard. And it's kind of a beautiful moment that turns into like at the end of it. What's that?
Sort of.
Well, fine. You take it whatever you want to. But I'm just saying, at the end of it, he's standing up and he is moving at speed to where he is able to fight against Shinra, and he turns to him and he's like, Shinra, you're either a hero or a demon. And normally if you're a hero, I have to match up with you, but I can't exceed you. But if you're a demon, I know how to cut you down. And if you continue to move like this, I will have to cut you down. So what are you? Are you a hero or are you a demon? And so Shinra is like, looks like he's about to attack, but instead fires his own knee into his face and like semi knocks himself unconscious to the point where he can get back control away from this first pillar in his brain. And the first pillar is just like, I'm leaving, and I guess you don't want me here. And it's okay, too, because the fifth pillar is about to appear. And he was like, holy shit, does that mean another Adola burst? And she's like, I don't have to tell you shit, because you kicked me out of your brain. So fuck you, I'm out.
Yeah, okay, here's my soapbox. My Arthur soapbox is, I don't disagree with the idea of the power of imagination. Unfortunately, Arthur perhaps operates more on the power of delusion, as we've seen before. Closer. So it's a little tainted. This flashback is also really sweet. I would agree. The moment when you start the flashback, Arthur's chatting with his dad, and he's sort of in a bad mood or something, and the dad is like, actually, things are great. And he's very, like, glass half full to the extreme. And you can see that his dad is like, imagine that you are the king of a castle and we are having a feast. And you get like a shot of what they're actually eating, and it's like, it wouldn't be enough for one person and there's three of them. This is a nice moment. I get what they're doing. This is immediately followed by the revelation that his parents then told him some bullshit story and fucking abandoned him. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
My other soapbox, and I talked about this in our last episode where we discussed Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm going to talk about it here once more, and hopefully that'll be the end of it. But God, do I hope that somebody who works at Crunchyroll is listening. The Crunchyroll subtitle situation has got to be fixed. It is a mess. First of all, this might be my personal settings. I really do not like watching stuff with subtitles. It's one thing to watch something in a language that you don't speak and to watch it with subtitles. I'm perfectly fine with that. I used to watch all my anime in the original language. I'm happy to watch a foreign film, and I will generally prefer to do so in the language that it was originally done and watch it with subtitles. That's fine. That's a different experience. That's not what I'm talking about. I am watching these shows in a dubbed version. They have undubbed Japanese text that shows on the screen. This is particularly egregious in Jujutsu Kaisen. If you were to have watched, downloaded from the internet, subbed by fans, versions of anime way back in the day, before Crunchyroll was really a thing, before anime was able to be really streamed anywhere, these fan translations would do a really beautiful job of translating, putting subtitles onto the file, but also they would often subtitle any important signs or text that would pop up on the screen. Sometimes they would go so far as to like edit the subtitles so that they were a part of the text, so that you could sort of see the Japanese text and the English translation looked like it sort of bled out of it very naturally, like it was designed to be that way. It was really cool. When you watch one of these on Crunchyroll, if there is Japanese text and you don't have subtitles turned on, you don't know what it says. If you can't read Japanese, they do not translate it for you. And I do not want to watch this with subtitles, but I am being forced to, because there is so much text on the screen when you're watching Jujutsu Kaisen in particular, that you can't not watch it with subtitles or you don't know what the fuck's happening. And it's not as bad in Fire Force. Most of the text on the screen is like attack names, and it's not that important. But what I found when I was watching it this time was that the text for the people speaking must be like AI generated and based off of like a model that learned off of Western media, because it didn't know what the hell they were talking about. And it got like, I don't know, 20% of the words obviously incorrect in a way that was super distracting. And also, the translation text for these Japanese words was like on a 10-second delay. So it didn't even match up with what was on the screen. Sometimes we were 2 Japanese language pop-ups later before I knew what the one a little while ago had said. Also, my final problem with this, and one major reason why I really don't care for subtitles, is that when this mysterious woman was chatting with Shinra, there were fucking mad spoilers about who she is, because they told you who was speaking. When the character is not visible on screen, it says that character's name and then a colon and then the thing they're saying. And I'm really, really upset that I know that now, because it's not something I would have known if I had not had to watch it with subtitles. Anyway, let's talk about episode 27.
I don't know who that is,
it's
and
infuriating.
I'm not going to learn.
It's so frustrating. I'm not going to say it on here because they don't say it in the episodes. You're clearly not supposed to know it yet, but I know it because the subtitles labeled her.
Yeah. All right, let's go into episode 27. It's called A New Flashpoint. This episode is going to go from 27 to 28, groping through the fire. So I'm going to put them together.
Yeah.
They go straight from one to the other. And we are going to be caught into a character that we have never met before. She is what seems to be a normal high school aged girl that is walking along with her friends, a little bit distracted, a little bit further behind them as they talk about boys and things. Her name is Inka, and she is going to all of a sudden stop and say, hey, I forgot something at school. I need to go back for it. And they're going to be like, okay, well, that happens all the time. Just stop being so forgetful. Ha, ha, ha. They go along as girls. She, as she starts running, is sniffing the air. And you're kind of like, well, that's a little bit odd. And then she meets up on top of this big giant slide. She's sniffing the air and 2 boys show up. These characters are named Panda and Sancho. These 2 characters apparently are going to be part of her gang of 3 people that are going to be doing something that is very, very not okay. Which is that she has the ability to sense when a fire is about to start. She can smell it in the air and kind of see it as it moves around her. And so she follows this to see where a fire is about to start. She waits for the fire to start, and then she goes in to, quote unquote, save the person that's inside, but she is only going to save them if they pay their anything that they can possibly pay in their house before they can come out of it. So she's not starting the fires, but she is profiting off of it, which makes her at worst, or at best, chaotic good, or, she's definitely, I don't think she's good at all. I think that she's just profiting off of her ability.
Yeah.
And people don't bitch about her too much because technically she saved people.
She's
at what cost?
She's an amoral opportunist. We see her do this one time in which she shakes down this dude who's in a burning building, who's older, and he says, like, I don't think I can get myself out alone. You have to help me or I won't make it. And she says, I will only help you if you give me money. and he tells her where all of his money is, and then she helps him. We do not
Yeah.
see the question called. We may. I think that would be interesting. But yeah, I was kind of waiting for the old man to be like, I can't give you my money, but I need help, and to see what she did. We don't know what she would do in that situation yet. I think we can make some inferences, and I don't know that she's a super heroic character, so I don't know that she would make the right choice in that situation. But yeah, she's profiteering. She's sort of looting in a disaster a little bit, but doing it with human lives. It's a little bit of that like protection racket thing, except that she's not
Yeah.
starting the fires.
Yeah. So she is known actually as the Fire Thief Schoolgirl. And apparently everybody inside of the Empire knows who she is, because she's been doing this for a long time. And he talks about it in a way that like they know that this is happening, but at the same time, like, she isn't technically hurting anybody.
Right.
So like, except for stealing from them, which, she is saving their lives. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a catch-22, kind of like a vigilante that they deal with
It's
on
also,
like if they have to basis.
yeah, also that old man was not taking his money with him. He was going to leave and it would have gotten burned up. So there is
Yeah.
a certain sort of bank shot argument that you could make where it's like she walked away with money that wouldn't have been available to either of them otherwise. But yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, so she is going to be then met by somebody from the White Clad. There are two people that show up. One of them breaks away, and he shows up, and he's like, "Hey, you're the fifth pillar, right?" And she's like, "Who's the fifth pillar?" And he's just like, "You're a fifth pillar, right?" And his name is Charon. He is let's just say a complete monster who doesn't care about human lives at all. And he's gonna, like, Sancho goes to touch him and be like, "Hey, dude, don't mess with my friend," and he just blows him in half, basically.
Yeah.
And kills him in a pretty gruesome way.
It's pretty
And
shocking.
she's just like, yeah, she's like, "What the fuck?" And in this moment of her, like, being upset, she has this extreme moment of, like, if I try to run, I'm gonna die. If I go with him, I'm probably gonna die. And then she has, like, this moment where she's like, "Why can I see this thing that says start and this thing that says end?" And she, like, follows her finger from start to end, and it just causes an explosion of Charon. And he's like, "What the fuck?" And she does it a couple more times, and he's like, "Oh, okay, so you are the fifth pillar, and you've awakened. You need to come with me." And then she sees, like, this line that, like, goes down to his face, and she's like, "What is that?" And then you just see Shinra appear and knee him in the face.
Yeah, she does. Maybe before or maybe around when she's awakening this start to end power, he hits out at her and she dodges it because she can see it coming because of the like pre-heat trail. So her like fire prediction also works against people who use fire to fight, which is really cool. It doesn't come up a lot here, but that really stood out to me as really interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shinra's here. He's gonna start fighting this guy, and there's also some other like random fights. Mostly just our characters are kind of around dealing with this or that. My least favorite thing in the world happens, and I've ranted a lot this episode, so I'm going to leave it there. But, like, good lord, this gag has got to end. I know it's not going to, and I might genuinely not watch this anymore if it keeps fucking happening. But mostly Team 8 is out sort of dealing with various infernals. There's going to be a big thing that happens with the team, but for the most part, they're just kind of like a lot of people are infernalizing, and there's like a conflagration happening in this area of town because the White Clad have shown up and are trying to create chaos so that the Fire Force is busy so that they can grab Inca the Fifth Pillar and steal away with her. But Shinra's here, and he's fighting Karen. He's fighting Karen. Karen is like, "I'd like to speak to your manager," and he's like, "No, thank you." So then
Yeah. The fight is going to break down basically like this. Obi and the rest of the team are going to figure out that there are bugs throughout the city that are turning people into infernals. Somebody's controlling them. We know that because this happened in the past, it's probably Huamena or Jaume.
Haumea?
I think is her name.
I don't
Haumea. Anyways, she has the ability to like control minds and things like that. And the only person that can fuck with her on this ability is Arthur. So Arthur is going to be the person that kind of does away with her being able to puppeteer this attack, because he is able to fight with plasma and it fucks with her ability. And so she is going to be dealing with that. And we are also going to be left basically at the end with a battle showdown between Shinra and Karen and he's going to be using a new ability that's called Corona. If you know that name,
so
or is it?
Yeah,
is it Corna?
He implies, I don't know, man. He implies that it's going to be a big explosion and that it was something that they discovered on accident while he was training to do a different thing in a previous arc that we did not see. So this is a perfectly fine way to introduce something. I think it works perfectly well in the narrative. But yeah, we're going to end his fight on a cliffhanger. He's in the middle of it and he's about to try this new technique. My favorite thing about Shinra fighting Karen, that's definitely not how you pronounce it, but that's officially now how we are going to pronounce it. But
Charon.
Charon. No, it's Karen. So, my favorite thing about this is that, like, Karen is not trying to fight Shinra. He's just trying to fend him off. His goal is to get the fifth pillar. And really, technically, that's also Shinra's goal. They're just at odds because they can't both get her. Shinra is like, hey, these people are dangerous and scary and perhaps mean you harm. That's a little unclear. But I am a hero. I am here to protect you from these scary, dangerous people and to rescue you. And this is exactly the wrong thing to say to Inca because she has something that I really don't like about the show that we talked about earlier is that a lot of these characters are reduced from complex and interesting individuals to a single weird personality trait that's kind of quirky. Here, it works really well. Inca's personality trait is that she just wants some fucking action. She just wants something exciting to happen. So the fact that she's in danger is actually kind of ideal for her. So she does not agree to go with the White Clad. She is resisting them because that's where the danger is. But she does explicitly reject Shinra's offer of rescuing her. And that's really kind of a fun and interesting dynamic that you don't usually see in these things. And I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah. And that's where we're going to leave it this week.
Yeah, well, there's one more big thing, which is that sometimes Infernals are demons, and that's a big deal, and one of those shows up. But we don't know what's going to happen there yet.
Yeah, I was kind of leaving that for next time. Anyways,
well, we'll get to it.
Stick with us after these credits, and we'll talk about what's coming on next week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Blake and Spencer Get Jumped. If you're interested in finding more episodes of our show, you can join us over at getjumped.buzzsprout.com. It has all of our links for our social media and for our Discord as well if you want to get involved and start chatting with us. Also, if you are interested in more content like Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, or you just want to read random musings on Blake's blog, you can go over to thegeeklygrind.com. You can get all of our episodes there, as well as weekly content from Blake's blog. All right, see you next time.
Next time on Blake and Spencer Get Jumped, we're watching Naruto Shippuden episodes 334 through 338.
Yeah, we are going to deal with something that we haven't dealt with before. And that's giant monster demons that live inside of people. I'm sure nobody's ever seen anything about something like that inside of anime. I think that it was done for the first time on these episodes. I really don't think that I've ever seen this inside of anime before. So stick with us, and I guess we'll see something completely and wholly original to this anime.